This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
So my answer to going to college was join the Army. 1992, my life changed forever. PCS to Germany with my two boys and really try to take advantage of the opportunity to travel, learn another language, the culture. It was to me the dream coming true, that everything that I'd been going through was worth it, because I was seeing another part of the world that I wouldn't have had the opportunity if I hadn't been in the military. Planned on getting out in 2000. That was really kind of a part of a joy in my life, and getting married for the second time. And I looked forward to the future. Ended up kind of becoming disillusioned, and that was the whole housing bubble thing where the mortgage jumped from bank to bank to bank. My kids were counting on me to take care of them, to ask for that kind of help. What I've done to help other women is make sure that they know what their resources are. It's for a long time I didn't understand that my service in the military counted as a woman veteran. But nobody told me, hey Eva, you're a veteran too, until I had that light bulb moment and said, my service counted too. And I can tell you it's been a long road to learn how to dream again. The community was the solution, be it churches, be it nonprofits, be it veteran service organizations, or just people like myself. We are the resources. We are the solution to help keeping women off of the street, our women veterans housed and having the resources they need and not living in a car. Of the work that grows us as leaders for our second service after the military to serve other people in our communities.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to be here. I'm way more energized than I was last week after coming off of the Camino in Spain, the Camino de Santiago. And, I reflect back on coming back to the States, and I was still speaking Spanish. I had to remember, oh, Eva, you're back in the States. Start speaking English again. So that was my kind of funny aha, coming back to the States and, kind of getting, I guess, retransition back to America. Today is April 5th, the year of our Lord, 2025. And my name is Eva Fulton. I'm an Army veteran. I served in Desert Storm and have had some great experiences. And then, as you saw in my documentary trailer, that I had something significant happen on my birthday, March 20th, 1992. And it's been, I'll put it this way, it's been a hell of a road since that time. And today we are going to talk about spoons. Believe it or not, spoons is the topic for today. And it's very important for you guys to realize that pain to purpose. I'm here to help you understand that there is a connection between spoon theory and pain, and overcoming, a lot of challenges in life. And you know how have I gone from being able to manage recovery from the car wreck? And back in 2022, I broke my back twice that year. I have 3 screws in each knee. I have a right partial knee replacement. From 2022 and breaking my back, I ended up with a kyphoplasty in my lumbar area. I'm a 100% disabled veteran, and with multiple issues. I have chronic headaches every day. More than half of the month I spend with a headache. And I came across this thing called the theory of spoons, or spoon theory. You can say it either way. I'm an academic, and I kind of like the theory of spoons myself, but you can feel free to use spoon theory. And it's really a metaphor for, it's not just a self-reflection on managing pain, but it's a way for you to communicate with other people what your inventory of spoons are. And I have a very good link from the Cleveland Clinic, and I'm going to drop that over here in the comments section so that you can feel free to go ahead and do it yourself. Look it up. There are plenty of other links out there that might explain it. So I probably should have, let's see if it'll let me share my screen to the spoon theory. There we go. So what is spoon theory? And so it's an analogy. It's an analogy to help you explain the daily struggle of chronic pain. And this was a theory that was developed by clinical psychologist Becky Bickett-Telehun, PhD. And I believe that there is probably way more connection between beyond chronic pain and activity. I would probably extend it to anything that is going to be some kind of illness, right? And if there are some limitations on your energy levels, then it's a way to be able to communicate that, not just for yourself, but how do you communicate that with other people? So Miss Becky, Dr. Becky, had come up with the spoon theory that, you've seen the happy face, the smiley face, the face, the sad face, the crying face. You've seen those signs at the hospital and the doctor's office. And that may, if you're just pointing, which one are you feeling like? Well, that it maybe explains how you're feeling, but it doesn't help you help communicate the amount of energy you have to do things. So, inner spoon theory developed in 2003 by writer Christine Miserandino. I'll say that right, Miserandino, to explain how having lupus impacts her ability to perform daily tasks. She created this analogy about having a limited number of spoons. So I put up, no, I went to this. But anyways, you've got the link here. So let's say we've got, I have spoons. I have literal spoons. And I want you to be able to picture this. So this could be something that you're using to just even visualize for yourself, communicate with your partner, communicate with, your physician or a nurse or your child, anybody that you're dealing with. And what I have in here in my hand are 10 spoons, different shapes and sizes, because here's the big, serving one, but I have a teaspoon one. So these still might be little micro energy pieces, but maybe your morning starts out, you got a boost of energy. So let's contemplate this. Let's say you wake up today and you say, I have 10 energy spoons today. 2 you're looking at using for going to the bathroom because maybe you're in such pain and it takes such energy that it's going to take you 2 spoons. Got 8 left, right? Now, maybe that's breakfast. 1, maybe 2, right? Is breakfast. You get 6 spoons left. And it's not even 10 o'clock yet in the morning. This is helping you manage how many spoons do I have to finish out the day. And the inventory of spoons that you have is really totally up to you when you wake up and how you feel. And I think it's important to understand that when you are communicating, you're providing your inventory of spoons, that you're realistic with yourself, because you don't want to say you have 20 spoons and then you overestimate those number of spoons, but you really only had 10 that day. Does that make sense to you guys? That you want to set a realistic bar on how you feel, and nobody else can tell you how you feel today, because maybe you woke up and you literally only had 5 spoons for the day. And I've had those kinds of days. But we're going to keep continuing with this count of 10 spoons. 2 more for lunch. 1 more for a bathroom. We got 3 spoons left. How are you going to spend the 3 spoons? Maybe you have a kid to go pick up at school or something. Maybe you've got dishes to do or laundry, something that, you've got, so maybe that's 1 spoon, and then you get dinner, or maybe, taking a shower or bath, or, and before you know it, it's time to go to bed and you're out of spoons for today. Be realistic with yourself about be realistic with yourself about how you are using those spoons and what that means. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger, because I even have a hard time seeing that. Let's see if zooming out helps. Is that better? I think it's better. All right. So being in pain is exhausting. You're living with chronic pain. And like I said, I'm going to include that as chronic illness. I don't care whether it's, let's say it's leukemia, it could be cancer, could be, a knee issue, back issue, whatever. It's your ability to perform your daily tasks. And maybe for all of us veterans, it's talking to social work services or your primary care. How do I communicate to them that I can't do my daily tasks because I woke up today, only had 5 spoons today, right? And so, as you can see, there's a set number of proverbial spoons, and each one representing the physical and mental energy it takes to complete a task or activity. The smaller the task, like showering or getting dressed, may cost only 1 spoon. Larger tasks like cooking or vacuuming could take 3 or 4 spoons. So you see how I was trying to help us not only determine the number of spoons we have, but how are we using them each day, and reconciling that today, this is how I feel. Tomorrow it can be different, but you're not setting your bar so high or so low that we're not realistic with ourselves, and still being able to manage and communicate to our caregivers or to primary care that, hey, this is where I'm at, and here's my quota for today. And maybe that's something that you can even chronicle and put in your journal to be able to help communicate, as a way of being able to let them know whether you need some help at home or not, right? Because those of us in the veteran world of things, and if we're looking at trying to document whether we need some home health care or something like that, the theory of spoons is a way for you to be able to communicate what energy levels you had to be able to do the tasks that you needed. Does that make sense for you guys? I really am wanting to make sure that I, put this in some terms that not only have I used, but that's going to be able to help you. So you can now call yourself a spoonie if you're willing to invest in this, and call yourself a spoonie. And I think in some ways it's a way of being able to kind of take away some of, I don't want to say shame. I think it's really kind of the guilt that we kind of put on ourselves that we can't do more, and say, you know what, I'm gonna make this a little fun, and I'm gonna I'm gonna call myself a spoonie, and I'm okay with that. I think that was one of the things that really helped me navigate that chronic pain is a part of my life. So, I mentioned some of these other things. I also have tumid lupus. The sun is not my friend, but I'm out in the sun way more now. I have other things that I do that help me with being able to tolerate the sun. And I think the bulk part of my experience with tumid lupus is kind of beyond me, because I've been able to get some of my health on track in other ways and make up some of those differences. But I am not ashamed of being able to call myself a spoonie, and know that it has been one of those things that has really helped me get through things. So I'm going to go ahead and transition to a commercial. We do have our 2025 Veterans Day cruise with MBR coming up for Veterans Day. So we have a commercial for that. And I think it's going to be a blast. I will be there. I come on, come and join us. Let's do the wobble together. Save 3 spoons for that. Okay. So come and join us. So here you go. Here's the commercial.
Join Military Broadcast Radio and Fairway Travel for the 2025 Veterans Day Cruise aboard Carnival Vista. We will embark on a 6-day Eastern Caribbean cruise November 9th through 15th from Port Canaveral. Are you ready to relax, explore, celebrate? This is a voyage you don't want to miss. Destinations include Amber Cove, Half Moon Cay, and the all-new Celebration Key. Delight in the Dominican Republic's Amber Cove with stunning beaches and island vibes. Enjoy Half Moon Cay, known as a private Bahamian paradise. And finally, a day at Celebration Key, Carnival Cruise Line's exclusive new getaway. Honor the heroes in your life with an unforgettable cruise experience this Veterans Day at sea. Fairway Travel will handle all the planning so you can focus on making memories. Call Fairway today, 228-365-3480, or email fonda@fairwaytravel.com or red@mbradio.us.
Doesn't that sound like fun? Y'all have got to reach out to Fonda and come and join us. I think we're going to have a great time So you can see from the Spoonie side, they said it's not limited to any one medical condition, but here are some chronic illnesses associated with chronic pain, back pain, fibromyalgia, lupus, I said that, migraines, I said that, rheumatoid arthritis. Actually, not only have that, but I've got osteoporosis, and it's it's a lot to manage. So let's talk about the science of chronic pain, and obviously it's got an impact on your physical and your mental health. And why is that? Listen, it's not hard for me to talk to people and talk about pain and help communicate that when you are in such physical pain so much, it starts overshadowing other parts of your life that it impacts what how you're feeling, because you only have so much mental space. And I think I'm saying it in a way, you only have so much mental space to accommodate the physical pain before it starts impacting the mental side. Because if y'all understand anything about, think about it, whether you're hungry, you get so hungry or hangry that you can't think about anything else. So now flip that dynamic and consider that it's pain that is taking up your mental capacity to think about anything else but pain. Well, it's going to have an impact on you. And so, as you can see, it's associated with limited energy levels, the difficulty with focus and concentration, sleep disruption, interference with sexual activity, emotional distress, and social deprivation. Because literally, when you are not feeling well, then it's hard for you to get outside, to enjoy people, and associate yourself with the normal functions of your life. So this has been I see that, I'm not sure though, I don't think I've met Matthew Lucci, but thank you for the fire. And Tracer I think she's agreeing, she knows this. So thank y'all for commenting. So let's go back in. How does chronic pain impact your daily life? This goes back to, so this, it's kind of interesting. It says, while most people have unlimited energy to complete their daily responsibilities, I'm going to disagree with that statement. There are a lot of people that I know who do not have unlimited energy. And why is that? Because we don't treat our bodies very well. We don't eat the right foods. We don't take the vitamins or supplements that we should. We eat way too much sugar. I'll say that again. We eat way too much sugar. I know of some resources out there that say, sugar feeds cancer. Well, but you look at pretty much anything that is coming, I don't care if it's a cereal box to, something else, that there is sugar in everything. Y'all know how much sugar is in ketchup, of all things? Good grief. Charles says, yep, you're 100% right. And and I like it. He says, some people have unlimited energy. I have unlimited pain. And I that's a lot of us, Charles. Thank you for commenting. Yes, we have unlimited pain. And when we have, and I recall you said that you can't go, 10 feet, 10 meters, whatever you said on Red Show, that you're out of breath. So we got to work on that. But I'll comment because I've heard you talk. You have a great voice, by the way. So anyhow, let's see. So we're going back to the pain side of things. Chronic pain, good days, bad days. Remember I told you about how many spoons do I have today? If I tell you, and I've had to do this with my kids. I'm sorry, I've only got 5 spoons today. That's tough. I get it. It's tough trying to communicate that I've only got 5 spoons. But you know what? as a friend of mine told me, the other day, I wake up and I wiggle my toes and I wiggle my fingers, and that's the start of my day. And that's a place to start. Sometimes it's just knowing that, uh, having, and Charles says, I have a face for radio also. Good. I haven't paid attention to that. Sorry. Amber will probably be happy to know I haven't paid attention to your face. So I just know the voice. So I've had to have those moments where, like I said, I have had to communicate with my kids because I lost both of my ex-husbands and I was a single mom, 4 kids. And, it's tough when you're a mom having to communicate to your kids that hey, I've only got 10 spoons today. I'm going to try to have 20 spoons tomorrow, right? Because maybe my son had a football game, or maybe my daughter had a wrestling match that she was in, or powerlifting. I tried to power through and find those spoons and know which days was I going to be able to rest up and collect spoons to get me through the rest of the week. And that's really what I would try to do in managing my daily spoons. So here are some options that they mentioned: physical therapy, medication, psychotherapy, mindful meditation, complementary medicine, pain management programs. I will let you know, I did not do one. I quickly eliminated number 2, did not do number 3. I did mindful meditation, but really it was more on the faith-based side for me. So I prayed. Complementary medicine was really and still is my go-to. I don't do chiropractic care anymore because of my back issue. Acupuncture, I can get acupuncture all the time if I wanted to. It's just not affordable. Massage is my go-to. And I really try to do it on a I want to say quite frequent. If I had my druthers, I would get it every 7 to 10 days. I haven't found a new local massage location, a masseuse. I'm working on trying to find it. But I also have realized that, movement is my friend. So I try to help manage things now that I've gotten in a better place, and, have put some of the former, I want to say, compounded chronic pain. I've had a number of surgeries to be able to manage specific pain spots, so that now the issues tend to be, headaches for me because the weather changes and the barometric pressure, impacts me. And I have not done too many of the pain management programs, and I'm not sure that, um, the VA's really hosted very many of those. Some of the other complementary medicine that the VA has offered before has been the ear acupuncture. Those have not been too bad. That's supposed to help with, with headaches. I think they're trying to embrace alternative medicine, but really, I think the positive side of just focusing on and introducing to you guys what what spoon theory is a way for you to be able to, let's see, um MJ says try Dr. Wife with MJ. There you go. That's an option. And Charles says they used to have a 1-month stay in the Tampa Bay VA hospital for pain. One of the other things that I have done, and maybe I need to have, hi Jamie King, Jam the King. One of the other things that's out there for veterans, and maybe I ought to have a show either on my own show or host it with somebody else, is talk about the risk, the War-Related Injury and Illness Study Center. I am entering a second study for that. That is out there right now. They are taking patients, taking participants. I'll have to share and find the link for that. But if you look up the RISC, WRIISC, War-Related Injury and Illness Study Center. There are 3 locations that they hosted. I know one is here in DC, one's in, I think, Palo Alto, California, and I think there's another one someplace else that they still used to have. I don't know if they still have it with, some of the changes with the VA, but let's get back to the theory of spoons. The goal of spoons is to help you manage not just your pain, but I think it's really to help us explain and manage our expectations for ourselves and with other people, and how we feel in a somewhat visual way that is something that we can kind of see in a tangible way beyond the happy face, sign. How do you feel? Because how do you feel and what can I do are 2 different things. And when we can start adding more spoons, then we feel like we're making more progress, and we can start kind of setting the bar higher because we're feeling better, but recognizing that, sometimes that's not going to be every day because I overdid it yesterday. I went on my trip to Spain. I hiked 127 miles. And don't think I didn't have some struggles, because I did, not just physically, but mentally, because I was having some physical pain. My mental side was struggling, and what do I need to do to fix this problem? What do I need to do? I tried 2 different sets of shoe inserts and trying to help reduce the foot injury that was happening. I was having some severe pain in my arches. It wasn't the first day and that last mile, my knee was giving problems, because I think it would have given anybody problems going down the hill with all of those rocks and the angle and the shifting. Even with my hiking poles, and I spoke with y'all about the hiking poles last week, that, that has been a blessing. But when you are trying to manage the pain, you got to know when to slow down, right? Kind of set back. So I did those first 2 days and saw, what I was doing. Then it was my birthday. So I took the day off and recharged, bought those shoe inserts, and I recharged my batteries. So the next day I was starting out with more spoons, and I was ready to go. And that was probably, I think, the longest day I had. It was 18 miles. I think it's right. Something like that. It was maybe it was 16 miles. That was long, right? That was long for me. The most I've trained for before has been about 14.5 miles. And I was wearing a 20-pound pack. But this has taken time to get here. I didn't do this overnight. And I think that's the biggest part I want you guys to be able to take away is, how do I, start managing my spoons? Own that I have some spoons, and make some progress towards increasing the number of spoons we have. So I'm going to go ahead and go to a beautiful song. You can't spell hero without her.
Signed up to fight for freedom, What a price you had to pay. Picture in her helmet, missing family every day. Your Lady Liberty, dressed like G.I. Jane. Some scars we'll never see. She will never be the same. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend. Standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her. On that old dusty base with the meadows that shine, she's been to hell and back for the stars and the stripes. Your Lady Liberty, dressed like G.I. Jane, and some scars we'll never see, and she will never be the same. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend. Standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her. Yeah, yes. For the ones that didn't make it, we will pause and then we cry. We can still see their smile in every sunrise. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend. Standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her.
Man, that is one of my favorite new songs. Mr. Coffee hit it off with that one. And, really appreciate what he's done to give women veterans a voice. And I am going to announce a couple of things. So, on my Camino, I had the birth of a new book that I'm writing called Chasing Mountains. And how many of you guys have ever gone on a walking vacation? Hopefully there's some listeners out there. But I want you to understand that you see things far differently on the ground than you do from a train, plane, or automobile and just zooming through towns. When you're on the ground and you see things, you just have a different perspective. And I think in a way, the spoon theory helps us kind of keep that in context, because when we don't have this tangible thing like these spoons to be able to relate how we feel, then after a while, because we're relying on modern medicine, prescriptions or whatever, then the reality of all of this kind of starts feeling like, digits in the, nether world. You're in the matrix and you can't communicate where I'm at in the here and now. And that's what I want to help people understand is I want you to learn how to manage your spoons, because when you start learning how to manage your spoons and you can communicate how you're managing your spoons, not how you're literally managing, but how many spoons you have and what you have to do, then you have the ability to start having your voice, because that's what MVR is about, is giving veterans a voice that you can communicate to somebody else that says, I need help. And when I broke my back, I was able to communicate to my, primary caregiver, I need help doing the normal stuff. I'm a fall risk in the shower, for one. So I would prefer to have somebody else there in case I fall. They gave me a chair for the shower. They installed a grab bar in my toilet area and my bathtub. And, that gave me such freedom that to get that kind of help, and they could change my sheets because I couldn't do those kinds of things. My kids had their own lives. And, thank you, Charles, for your comment, for keeping up the great work. And Into the Weeds Tracer says, yes, pain sucks. And it does. I'll say it sucks a big one. I don't even like saying that language, but pain's a part of life. I've learned to embrace pain because I can wake up and wiggle my toes and wiggle my fingers and say, yes, I'm alive, because I've come through too many instances towards some very bad situations, my car wreck being one when I was, Into the Weeds is Amber. I still remember who's on what show. Sorry, guys. Pain's in a lot of people's lives. I'm, dealing with my dad's had pain for the last couple of weeks. So I've had to keep an extra eye on him. And he was worried about having to have hip surgery. Finally made it into the doctor Thursday. So the guy's not been able to sleep in his bed. Couldn't even really sit in, his lazy lounger because he couldn't get up out of it. And part of the armrest had broke. So that was not a viable option for him. So he has the couch, but even then that was, the couch was not necessarily easy for him because he couldn't get his leg up to be able to lay down, even though it was a little bit higher than his bed and had a better way of being able to get in and out of it. It just didn't provide, an ability for him to get the leg up onto the couch. So he was literally sitting and sleeping in his camping rocking chair that he carries with him everywhere. Because it had the strong armrest that he can get up and down. So he finally made it to the doctor Thursday. They gave him hip injection, and it was just bursitis. But it was creating such, that conflict and worry with him on needing surgery or whatever, that he really couldn't think about anything else but pain. And then it started, causing other issues like foot swelling and stuff like that. I had to go get some compression socks and try to help manage that fluid, but pain takes over. And Charles adds, just remember, with pain, it's mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. And unfortunately, sometimes it really just kind of takes over your way of thinking. You've got to find some alternatives. Other alternatives that I found to help distract myself was I used to get those coloring books and the coloring pencils and just color because it was a distraction. I felt like I had something positive that I could see as a result, and it didn't take very many spoons, right? It was low impact, and I felt like I had something productive to show for what I was doing. So, anyways, I hope that this so far is helping. And if anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to drop those in the chat. I am going to go ahead and go to another. Let's do Sacred Flowers. It's one of my favorite ones. All right, here we go.
mother. Earth is crying for her daughters. Sacred flowers, sacred mother. Earth is crying for her daughters. Where have you gone? Who took them from us? Who stole them from us? Sacred flowers. Sacred flowers, sacred mother. Earth is crying for her daughters. Sacred flowers, sacred mother. Earth is crying for her daughters. Blooming life on the res, bringing light to our lives. You are missing your mist. Sacred flowers.
Hey, I am Eva Fulton, your host for today, and we have been talking about spoons and pain management. I still think that it's not difficult to convey this, not just from physical pain, but mental pain, probably spiritual pain too, especially if you're dealing with some moral injuries, which is a thing that I don't think we've really talked much about as a military community. There is a thing that is called moral injury, and that that's I need to find some people. If anybody knows any, I know I'm pretty sure it was like TCU. There was an author that some people that had talked about moral injury from Texas Christian University, TCU in Fort Worth, but I could be wrong on the school that was really hosting it or where the authors were. But moral injury. And I think there's plenty that we could talk about from the moral injury side where we're doing the things that we're called to do in the military and sometimes in the civilian world if you're a first responder and trying to manage how many spoons do you have to work with today because you're just not having a good mental health day. And I want to think that we should be able to expand the reach of the way spoon theory has been not labeled, but described, that it can encompass other forms of pain. So, set your bar realistic each day is probably a good way. I would recommend, if you have gone through a serious injury, let's say you had, a knee replacement, you broke your back, you could say, what, kids, hey, I've got 5 spoons today. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Maybe that's 1 spoon for every 2 hours, whatever it is that you're doing. And that's probably 2 or 3 of those is just going to the bathroom. You got 2 spoons for something else. Could be brushing your teeth as a spoon and taking a shower as a spoon. Use your spoons carefully and don't waste them on things that you know that you can't get that spoon back. Not today. And tomorrow, try to see if there's a way you can add another spoon. And, change whatever it is that you can do to feel better. If it's going, getting a massage, asking somebody else to empty the dishwasher, and make it teamwork to get things done, you may be able to, start accumulating more spoon each day and start being able to go on hikes. And sometimes really movement is your friend too, because if you're not moving, that's probably the best advice I heard one time was movement's your friend. And when I flipped the mindset that I needed to only rest, and if y'all can see the weight difference that I had from now compared to my trailer at the beginning of the film, I've made a lot of changes since then, and I've done a lot of healing, and worked towards having a healthier life. And hiking 127 miles in 8 days is nothing to sneeze at. So I've come a long way. That doesn't mean that I'm not still disabled. I am. I still have those headaches every single day. Some days are worse than others, but I'm always waking up every day with a headache. I don't know when I haven't woken up with a headache and affected me. I go to work every day, ride the commuter bus. Well, it's Tuesday through Friday, and that's 4 hours of being on the bus, some kind of commuting. And I sleep on the bus because it has worn me out. And, that's how I find my spoons to do what I do, and then be able to wake up with a good night's sleep, like I did this morning, and was able to go out to the driving range and hit some balls. I didn't go out hiking. Mentally, I wanted to, but I knew I didn't have enough spoons for that. My feet are still healing from hiking. And this is a way for me to still be able to keep moving. I found an alternative physical thing that I could do to be able to, feel like I'm not being a couch potato and I've got things to do. So, I have lots of good guests that I'm working on getting scheduled. Met a great bass player at the local American Legion last month that I will be trying to get him on. Well, we've already talked about getting him on, but getting him scheduled with one of our DJs and, jamming out, hearing his story about playing the guitar, during war in the hangars, and having those sessions, those jamming sessions, just hearing some of that and his camaraderie with his friends doing that. Just got off of a call, just got off on the show from Red, and his wife's involved. Not Red, but the guest, Terry, I think was his name, his wife is involved with some other subjects, and very pain to purpose oriented. And I have plenty of other people that I will be getting on. But I really, wanted to make sure I covered some pain things that, pain comes in all different shapes and sizes. And I knew that telling my Camino story these last 2 weeks should be helpful for people, to start raising your bar. What do I do? Improve my quality of life. Because I'll tell you, one of the lasting impact communications that I had that was an eye opener for me when I went through the risk study. That was in 2012, 2013. And they gave me this neat packet of, it was a 1 week inpatient at Walter Reed. No, not Walter Reed. It was at the Washington, D.C. VA. I think it's two different things. But anyways, the Washington, D.C. VA. 1 week patient, inpatient, and because of the headaches and the way I was feeling at the time, the neurologist had an out briefing with me, and he could tell that I was struggling very bad. Not just from the physical, but just the, my mindset from being in the military was that I can do anything. So how do I reconcile what I used to be able to do and where I'm at now? And how do I move forward in managing whatever my new allotment of spoons are in life and feeling like I've got a quality of life? And, he said something very impactful to me that has stuck with me. He said, you do have to take an active role in the management of your own physical care and using your voice to communicate it with your doctors on the assistance that you need. Maybe that's getting some assistance, right, for your self-care. Maybe that's changing medication. Maybe it's finding things like alternative medicine and getting massages to help work through things. I don't do meds. I get nerve ablations that help manage the pain from my lower back because I had that kyphoplasty in 2023 as a result of breaking my back twice. That's part of what has given me that freedom, that I'm not stuck with, taking drugs all the time because it's just my body does not respond well to meds. But it was about making the decisions for me. He said, own what you need to do that improves your quality of life. He was giving me permission, and I'm giving you permission to make those changes that help you improve your quality of life. And maybe that's changes in work, maybe it's changes in the chores and the help that you do, or giving yourself a break and hiring a cleaning company to come in and do a quarterly, scrub down cleaning, because the best you can do is manage cleaning your toilet and, your bathtub occasionally, but letting somebody else to do the heavy lift. Give yourself permission to ask for that help to get through and manage your spoons better, because that is going to be what's going to help you not have as much pain, but move towards having a more purposeful life. And that's probably the biggest message that I can give you today is take control of your quality of life and be able to start moving forward. So I hope you have all found this to be a great show. If you have other topics and want to come on and be a guest, maybe you need to tell your Pain to Purpose message, feel free to message me or email me. You can email me, eva@mbradio.us, because I am like all the other hosts on MBR Radio. I want to give you a voice. I have my voice. I'm using it. I want to help empower you and give you your voice as well. So until next week, thank you all for joining me on the From Pain to Purpose show. And I hope you all have a very blessed week. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us, giving our veterans a voice.